There was a good selection of N64 controllers around, both first party and also third party. Nintendo brought out this range of controllers, they call the Tri-Wing, because there are 3 prongs on it. The issue though was the joystick. They did tend to fail more frequently than you would like them to happen, as in fact happened on this particular joystick. You can see it veers to one side. There were also some third-party ones which were designed to use exactly the same joystick, and in fact this is one of those inside the box. However, there were also third-party ones that could utilise pretty well any other type of joystick around, which had the good benefit of allowing you to use small ones and big ones, and ones that really work quite well for your choice of system and also for your hands. To put this into comparison, these are some taken from a variety of different controllers, all of which would work inside one of these boards. The actual example was taken from a GameCube, PlayStation, PSP, and that was from an old gamepad. I think it was a Microsoft one. So if you want a larger one that's thinner, a very slim one, a much fatter one, you can have a good option as to what you utilise. So personally I'm going to use one of these, and also use one of these types of controllers for the project. In this video we're going to talk about memory packs and rumble motors for the N64 controllers. Basically a jolt pack, or as it should be called, rumble pack, is just a vibration motor, which is a standardized motor with a weight on it, which therefore makes it unbalanced while it rotates, and therefore it judders, or rumbles as they call them in these systems. The other option is with a memory card, because not all of the N64 cartridges would save within themselves, and therefore the external memory card is important. For example, if you're playing Doom 64, I particularly like that game on the N64. If there's more than 256K, as there often was, then you would either have to select a different bank by little switches, or adjust it with a little tactile switch in order to change the page effectively that you're saving the game onto. That's all fine, but it's a bit of a hassle to slot one in and change it for the other when it says insert memory card. And inside a portable, unless you want these parts sticking out of the portable, which really doesn't look particularly great, it's a good idea to utilise these. These are effectively all in one. There's a switch for rumble and a switch for memory. There's 4 on display here. If the motor doesn't vibrate quite as much as you'd like it to, as you see here, these are taken out from various controllers and other packs. Some have only a tiny amount of rumble, others of course have got far more, so you can select what you need for the application. In order to know which way around these go in, we take this one as the example and pop it into one of our N64 controllers. You'll see that there's only one way that it can physically go into the controller. So therefore, if it only goes in that way, it's very obvious and very easy which way around it goes inside the controller. If we take this apart, it would be logical, if it goes in this way, that that is the front, which bears the battery. And in fact, out of the controllers I've opened up, it does appear that the battery faces towards the system, but it's always much better to actually test it. As you see from here, for example, the boards all look different. They contain different chips, different parts on them, so they are entirely different. So don't make any assumptions. What I've done here is to take out one of the boards from an N64 controller and plug the dual rumble pack memory card into position. As you remember, the battery in this case goes forward. The board itself here is actually 2-layer, which you can easily tell because it's on the front and it's on the back. If we insert it most of the way but not completely. It then allows us to test with a multimeter what is actually fairly apparent on here anyway. You've got 4 rows of contacts, therefore 2 of the rows connect to the bottom contacts on the card and the 2 on the top connect to the 2 top here. So for example, the contact on the top here would be pin 1, pin 2, pin 3, pin 4, etc. all the way along. We can either connect wires to the top or via the bottom, and we can get rid of this plug entirely to make everything so much flatter. And although we don't need to actually necessarily prove what we're talking about here, let's do it anyway for sake of illustration. If we go to pin 1 there and pin 1 here, you get the continuity beep. We go across to pin 3 and do the same here, that is pin 3. And the one before it, pin 2, which is the row underneath. When wiring the controller, it's imperative that you wire it in the same way as it was on the original controller and also in the same orientation. This is the flattened controller board that I've produced from the SuperPad 64 Plus controller. The capacitors have been relocated, as have other parts that provided extra height, and this is the combined memory rumble card, which I've used some Kynar wire. I don't normally like Kynar, but for very short distances it's fine, and the wire is very thin, easy to use. This is 2 centimeters long, which is about the maximum for good connectivity. And again, the item has been made smaller, in this case by using a battery holder from an old PC motherboard. This is a switch that changes it between rumble and memory pack feature. The motor that comes with it is adequate, but of course it can be changed for another one if required. Total height maximum 6mm tall, which is quite suitable. This is just to prove that the memory part of the combined card works, because otherwise you don't see that initial screen. This is the N64. It's an incredible game. I think this is actually the best version that was produced on any console. I've tried a few. This is really a top-notch game. This is just being shown at the moment on an 8-inch TFT screen. I'm going to be using the PlayStation 1 screen, of course, as per the previous posts. So this will be used on my big multi-system when I produce it as my next project. If you haven't got Doom and you like good quality shooters, you really should get this. Even the introduction is awesome.